So it finally looks like we've hit more or less the end of the road with Celsius. Probably the last video I'm going to make on Celsius for a while, but because I was in Celsius, I was part of the depositors. I've been following it relatively closely, trying to put out content for you guys. This is not financial advice. Do not take any of my advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And I'm guessing you are a sell depositor if you're watching this video. Most likely, I feel for you. If you see my previous videos, I was in for about 10 ETH, zero point 0.3 Bitcoin, some Link, and some Matic. It was heavy, We'll get through it. I'll get through it. I hope you guys are okay. Hopefully you did not lose everything. This is a huge learning experience, but let's start getting into what happened here. I got the email last night. I'm guessing you probably did as well, but Celsius Network initiates financial restructuring to stabilize business and maximize value for all stakeholders. They're filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It says they have a liquidity of $167 million in cash to support operations. This is stated as a restructuring. This part here, this is the right decision for the community and the company. We have a strong, experienced team in place to lead Celsius through this process. I'm confident that when we look back at history of Celsius, we will see this as a defining moment when acting with resolve and confidence serve the community and strengthen the future of the company. I mean, what a load of crap. I don't know. I guess they're talking about this is acting as if Celsius is going to continue as a business. I guess they will try to continue. I don't see how that is going to work. I don't see how anyone would ever trust their money with Celsius or Alex Mashinsky. I mean, it's kind of come down to basically being a total scam. I don't think it was full on Ponzi scheme from the beginning. I think they took probably way too much risk. They got hit. They got probably margin called for a large amount of money. They took way too risky bets with customer assets, which I guess, and they lost our money. And then the really crappy part is that they tell you, oh, everything's fine. And in reality, they were insolvent and they were getting ready to freeze withdrawals. They had a promotion for ETH to deposit your ETH just before they froze withdrawals. Is really scammy. And this part here. This is unfortunate. Celsius terms of use do not guarantee return of customer funds. So in their fine print, it states that basically, we have no legal claim to our crypto on Celsius. They can do as they see fit. So most likely it's gone. Most likely it's just gone. And maybe there's the possibility that they'll try to continue and give back some sort of money to try and keep some sort of customer basis. But it's just, it's a crapshoot as of this point. And I think the big thing for me, at least, has just been feeling like getting scammed. There are a lot of scams out there, and I've been been very weary of scams. And so not only losing that money, but feeling like you're dumb enough to fall for a scam, when in reality you look at the yields, these high yields, they're unsustainable. You can't turn money out of nothing. And the same was with the UST, the Anchor protocol giving 20% yield. I was in that a bit as well, but not as leveraged as I was in, not leveraged, but not as exposed as I was in Celsius. And for any of you that got hit in Terra and in Celsius, it's just, this has been crazy. This is definitely the 2008 style crash of crypto that's happening right now. Having said that, I do believe there's going to be a lot of opportunity now to buy, but I'm reassessing the risk that I take. And I think looking at expected value, looking at being on Celsius, making extra $20 a week or something like that for the risk of possibly losing all of that crypto was stupid, and the value wasn't there. But hindsight's 2020. It's easy to look back and go, yeah, of course the yield didn't make sense. Of course they can't pay 18%. But you're not alone. There's a million other people who fell for this, and lost their crypto, lost their money. And I feel really bad for those, especially lost all your savings. I mean, that's just, I can't even go there. I've read a lot of tweets and different Reddit threads, a guy who lost his whole life savings. It's just really sad. And it's so messed up because most likely Mashinsky and all these guys at the top, they're going to get their money back. They're going to be okay. The big wigs are going to get taken care of. They'll get skimmed off the top a bit, but the people who are really going to hurt are going to be the small retail depositors. And, that's just capitalism, I guess. That's America. That's business, I guess. So we got to be really careful and try and look to see what are the real takeaways here. Because some people are just running away from crypto and saying, crypto's done, crypto's dead. I don't believe that at all. The crypto's not done or dead. This is just, not falling for scams, not getting too greedy in crypto. When we have insane returns, we need to take profits because there's just no guarantees any of these things couldn't just go to zero and flutter in the wind. Now, look at this here. This was something I should have definitely looked into more. Celsius CFO arrested on charges tied to former job of Moshe Hogeg's firm. This was charges of money laundering and other charges. This is their CFO, their financial officer, one of the top people at their company, and they're saying, "Oh, this has nothing to do with Celsius." But this is just such big red flags, and we really need to look into these projects that we're in, look into the people behind them, look into their past, their history. I did another video on Tron and USDD giving out 30% in interest. People on there playing with fire. So these just high yield, high interest, sketchy people, sketchy projects. There's so many sketchy fucking people in crypto. It's just ridiculous, and it's really sad. It really hurts the space, and I'm hoping that there are going to be enough developers, enough legit, really smart creators in the space that are going to build actual products that are usable and have utility, and not just scammy, dirty, shady people trying to make quick money, because there's a bunch of them out there. Now, look at this. This thread seemed really interesting. It's just a Twitter user. I don't want to verify the legitimacy of everything this person's saying, but he really broke down a kind of play-by-play of exactly how this went. I guess recently it was stated that Celsius has a $1.2 billion hole in their balance sheet. We can look at the balance sheet here. Total liabilities, $5.5 billion. Total assets, $4.3 billion. They did invest $700 million into mining assets. But basically it seems like, a part of what he's saying is that Celsius had so much success, they grew so quickly that they just started taking way too much risk with their assets, customer assets, and they got burnt. I think that there's probably some truth to that. It's hard to say if Alex is full scam guy, but basically, might have had good intentions, and then things start rolling in the wrong direction and can't own up to doing the right thing, either decreasing. There was no warning. I guess there was some warning when they stopped new customers of earning yield on their crypto. That should have been a sign saying, wait a second, something's going on here. There was some SEC regulation, but the problem was it had the opposite effect, where the greed blinds you and you go, oh, well, I don't want to miss it. I got to get my crypto in now so I can lock in those yields, and I don't want to pull it out because then I'll lose the chance. And you don't realize it's just completely effed from the get-go. 600 million Celsius assets in its own token. I don't know how that's going to stay up. We'll see if the short squeeze continues. But basically, this here breaks down the flows of the crypto, their assets, what they did with their money, where there were mistakes made. Let's see here. They had 467 million in ETH locked on the Ethereum network. That is crazy. I can link the description. I can link in the description this Twitter thread that goes through, that gives some really good information about kind of just the whole process, the whole unraveling of Celsius. But in the end of the day, this thing wasn't sustainable. It should have been easier to see. but whatever, hindsight's 2020, and I'm just saying, hey, this is that it's a heavy loss. It's the biggest financial loss I've taken in all of my investing. I've done pretty well in investing, and it wasn't my entire portfolio, but it was too big of a chunk, and I shouldn't have been risking that much and just looking at crypto. And I think one of the things I'm going to start doing now is kind of matching all of my crypto investments with savings. That's just something I've been personally decided I'm going to do. So, if I say I put $1,000 into crypto, I'm going to make sure I'm setting aside $1,000 in saving, and just diversifying within cryptos, looking at who's doing more and more research. And, in the next bull run, if there is one, I believe there will be for sure. But, when you're up 2, 3, 4, 500%, you got to take profits. I got to take profits. I mean, it's like, yeah, of course we all want that moon bag. We wanted to, back when I did buy my ETH at $100 or $200, you want those rewards. You want that crazy, but it's just greed. Greed burns you. And at the end of the day, we have to be constantly assessing risk and realizing, when you 2, 3, 4, 5x your investment, what is the risk of holding on? What's the risk? And then what is the risk of missing possible future gains? And that's why I like to, I don't sell everything. I wouldn't sell all my stuff unless I thought it was a complete crapshoot and like whatever meme coin or something, but I don't really do that. But when these projects do come back, and the projects that do make it, I do believe that's going to prove further strength, but you just never know when there's going to be some hitch in the algorithm or in the tech that can be manipulated. I think that's partially what happened with UST, that the tech, there was a problem in that arbitrage system, and it was and if there's just some little weakness that can be exploited by another institution or anybody, it's going to be exploited. And we can't always see those. We can't always know if these people are legit or if they're scammers. And some of them are going to be legit and some of them are going to be scammers. So when you're up and you've made money, decrease your risk. Take some of that money out, protect yourself in case these things crash and go to zero, and leave enough in there if you want to ride it to the moon. And, don't put your life savings into these things. Like, we can't do that. It's just too risky. We got to know how risky crypto is. It is still very, very risky, but it is something, I do believe it's special. I do believe that this technology will change the world, but knowing who's going to be the final winners, knowing what's going to be scams, what's not going to be scams, that's really the hard part. When, which developers are really creating things that are going to actually be usable and utility, and what developers are just trying to make an NFT project and make some quick bucks. And there's a lot of those people out there. So here it shows they lost 15.8 million in Terra Luna. It's actually not as bad as a lot of other people. $40 million with Three Arrows Capital. This contagion just spread through 1 billion was pulled from the company in 5 days. He blames on misleading media coverage. It was probably just smart people knowing to get their money out. And that's why CeFi, definitely not. It's a bummer because the space kind of needs CeFi in a way. Just, I don't know if the general user is going to be able to deal with the resistance of moving stuff onto cold storage wallets and using these DeFi protocols. There needs to be a way for crypto to really be brought into the mainstream and used by everyone. It needs to be easy, but it needs to also somehow be needs to be decentralized. And that's going to be a very big point of resistance for crypto moving forward, and finding a way that it can be easy enough to use but still safe. And DeFi protocols, do your research, look into it. I'm being very wary of everything, but the unfortunate side of, I guess you look at UST, that was the DeFi version of this thing collapsing, and the CeFi version of collapsing is Voyager and Celsius. So at least in Tether, or at least in UST, we did kind of have a chance to, they didn't just freeze overnight. We had a chance to try to sell or, take a loss and get out. So yeah, it's very unfortunate. What can we do? We got to keep going, look at hopefully you have your health, your family, your friends. Hopefully you have enough money to keep a roof over your head and food and that kind of thing. And it hurts when you lose it. It hurts when you feel scammed. It hurts when you feel like you made a mistake, and there's shame in there and all that. And you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let's move on from Celsius. Fuck 'em. And let's go. We'll on to the next thing. Chew.